guys, it's Keri TV, and we have a very special guest here today. This is Dave White, who is a big real estate investor and also happens to be my father. So excited to have him here for our special episode. And we were talking about this when we were in Palm Desert last weekend, about Proposition 10 and Proposition 5 and what it means. And I said, hey Dad, will you film an episode with me? So here we are. So as you know, the midterm elections are coming up on the 6th of November. It's really important to get out there and vote, of course, whatever your views are. But we thought it was important for us to share a little bit about what these propositions mean in regards to real estate. So for our clients, this is our PSA, right? So first of all, we have Proposition 10, which is the repeal of the Costa-Hawkins Rent Control Act. So that is one of the propositions up on the ballot. So Dave, tell us a little bit about what that means and what that means to homeowners.
Well, Costa-Hawkins, it brought rent control in. Now, rent control is not really what everybody thought it was supposed to be. It's supposed to help the housing crisis, but it's been proven that rent control doesn't help that at all. And now with Costa-Hawkins, every property is now going to become under rent control. Your single-family home, your condominium, your townhome. And the other sad thing about this is, at the present time, with the current system we have, when you rent your property, if your property is under rent control, rent it out for $1,200 a month, and the other units in the building might be renting out for $2,000 a month. And in the current system, if those people paying $1,250 move out, we can now rent that unit for $2,200 or whatever.
Market value.
Market value.
Right.
With the new, when they get rid of Costa-Hawkins, they're going to make it so that if those people move out of that unit paying $1,250, the next person coming in is only have to pay $1,250 as well.
So what about people who can't really afford to live in buildings like this and that they love to live in a place for $1,250? Wouldn't that be considered a good thing?
Well, it would be a good thing if all the people that couldn't afford it could get into those buildings. But what happens is, the lucky few that do end up in one, they never move out of them. And now all of a sudden after 10 or 15 years you'll show up and here's the guy renting the unit or the girl pulling up in their nice Ferrari. Where in actual fact, it's supposed to be for low income people. The system it just doesn't work as it is, and it's sad because what stops the lack of housing is caused because supply and demand. Now with supply and demand, when you've got more supply than demand, then as in other states, where the vacancy factor is 15%, what happens there is now these landlords are having to offer rent, moving expenses or 1 month free to get the people into their units. But out here in California, where it's probably 4%, well, there's no need for landlords to offer anything and everybody's scrambling to get into the unit. Yeah,
and what happens when there are people paying low rents? Then the other units get pushed up even more in cost because there's nothing available to rent. So when these people stay in these units and they never move out, it kind of stops the flow of inflation in society and values going up because property owners don't want to have buildings where people are paying low income, because then it doesn't increase their value. They tend to become slumlords because they want market value rates and market value renters in there.
And the other thing that happens is that if you can only get $1,250 a month for your unit, which should be getting $2,200, then it's not even worth you leasing it out. So you'll probably take it off the market. And then the other thing that there's
exactly what happens. So
values drop. Now, when the value drops, that means there's less property tax coming in. So what happens to the streets and everything the city has to look after when there's less money coming in?
So with these new laws going in, it's actually going to cost the taxpayers more money because they're paying for these new rules. And then if property values are decreasing, the city is going to lose money. So there are actually less money going towards emergency services, schools, and it actually will not create the low-income housing that they're saying that it will.
Back east, many years ago, they brought rent control in because all the students decided they wanted to move, get low income. Well, what happened so all these students never moved out of the units, and all of a sudden they decided this doesn't work. So they changed the rules and got rid of the rent control. Now all those people who have been there for years finally went and bought homes and moved out of the apartments. So
yeah, that's another thing that's so important is It happens a lot here in Santa Monica. So someone will be paying $800 or maybe $1,200 for a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom, or even $2,200 for a 2-bedroom near the beach, and they don't have motivation to move because they're getting such a good deal. But then what happens when 10 years, 20 years, 30 years go by, and sure, they've been living with low rent, but then they don't own anything. They haven't built any equity. They don't have anything to show for themselves, where you could be in a place that has grown 500, 750 in equity and have a great retirement, or invest in other buildings that make you more money. And isn't the whole goal to one day be sipping margaritas on the beach, right, Dad?
2 years ago, I met a guy on a party on a boat.
Oh, party on a boat, Dad.
Yeah,
Tell us
that's
about
what
that.
you do, right?
Right.
When you have real estate.
That's what you do.
Anyway, I talked to this guy and he said, I'd like to buy something. And he was 62 years old. And I said to him, well, what do you own now? He said, I don't own anything. He said, unfortunately, I got caught up by rent control. And
What did he say?
He said, I got tied up with rent control.
Caught up with rent control. Did you hear that? Tell us more.
Because he thought he was on a great bargain because he was only paying $1,000 a month for this unit in Santa Monica that everybody else was paying $3,000 for now. He said, I watched all my friends who couldn't get into rent control go out and buy homes, and he said now they've all made worth a lot more money than me because their homes have gone up in value.
There's nothing wrong with paying a low rent, of course, but long-term game is to make money, to invest, to retire. And the short side of that vision is that rent control is a good thing, when in fact it decreases property values, it lessens the money going to the government, and it creates slumlords.
And it creates a shortage.
And a shortage.
Who is going to build more buildings when you can't make money on them? Because the other thing that we haven't made aware yet, if Costa Hawkins gets voted out, that means that now the government can come in and tell you how much you can rent your home out for, your unit. They can decide what you get for it. So
you know how your realtor tries to tell you what price you should rent or one of your units at your houses? Now, instead of listening to the advice, you're gonna get told, well, this is what you can rent it for, and we don't care what you think. So, does that sound like a fun thing for anybody? Probably not, but of course, do your research. Investigate everything you can about Proposition 10, but when it comes to real estate and building equity and building wealth, which is what we're proponents of, we're saying vote no on Proposition 10.
Hey, let's imagine that Prop 10 doesn't pass. We're gonna go and buy another building.
Yay, we're gonna buy a building. So to summarize, we vote no on Proposition 10 because we want to keep our property values increasing. We want to keep the market stable with the right market value rents, and we don't want to increase our taxpayer dollars, do you? Now, the other proposition that we want to highlight that has to do with real estate and our clients, of course, is Proposition 5. So this is super exciting because right now, as it exists, if you are 55 or older, you can take your tax basis with you one time for one move. And so what this is going to do is allow people that are over 55, plus people who are disabled or victims of natural disasters, to take their tax bases with them more than once and for any price point. So this is super exciting because of all the people that get stuck in their homes because they can't afford another 20 grand a year on taxes. So Dave, tell us a little bit more about why you think we should vote yes on Proposition 5. It's well, yes, right? Yes on 5? Yes. Okay, yes on 5.
And like 10 is bad for real estate, 5 is excellent for real estate.
So good for real estate.
It is, because...
And old people.
Right, because...
We like old people.
But remember one thing, that when you purchase your home for $200,000 and your property taxes are very low, and they only go up 1% a year.
I calculated 100 grand, 1,800.
Okay. But the problem is when you go to buy a house that's $1 million, now your taxes are going to be way up there. And that's what stops a lot of people from selling their homes. And here's the other thing that hurts the older people like me. We can't sell. We've got this big house that's got a pool and huge gardens, and we're wasting all our money looking after it.
Unused bedrooms.
So now we can, with the Prop 5, we can sell, move to a beautiful home on the beach, and only pay the low taxes. And the biggest change with this is the way it is now, you can only do this once. You can move once and get the property tax saving. And the other big thing is that in the old way, if you sold your house for $1 million, you had to buy something. You could only go 3% above. Now you can go and pay whatever you want for a house.
Yeah.
You can pay $2 million for it if you
Which is
wanted
so great.
to.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, the big thing is most people, when they're older, they've paid their houses off, so it's all cash.
All cash money. So that's the thing too. So they can take all that cash, buy something with cash, and then they only have a low property tax. So say they bought their house for 100 grand, they're selling it for $1 million or $1.5 million, they move into a cool condo on Ocean Avenue or a little house somewhere nearby, they're not paying anything monthly, which is the whole point because they can't afford it, and then the property taxes don't change, so their lifestyle remains the same. You get to have mom and dad around for raising the grandkids. It's also really great for people who are disabled, same thing. They need to move into something that works for their disability, whether it's one level, smaller. And then the other factor is for people that are victims of the natural disasters that happened this year, floods, fires.
Well, grandkids? You get me excited there, grandkids, wow.
Get excited.
Sounds good.
We gotta get married first. Anyways. So we know that Proposition 5, a vote yes on Proposition 5 will help even a lot of our clients who are trying to buy property, and there's more people that would sell if they could take their tax bases with them, and then these awesome young couples or young couples with babies could move into their houses, into their 4 and 5 bedrooms with pools. So overall it will stimulate the economy, stimulate housing, open up inventory, which we all know we've had a shortage of inventory, right?
Right, and let's help these older people that have worked all their lives to support the community they live in. Let's help them now that they're old and they want to retire and enjoy life.
Yes, and help the disabled and help the natural disaster victims. Proposition 5, vote yes! Again, if you have any questions about Proposition 5 or Proposition 10, do your research, and we always vote for real estate wealth and the real estate economy and your wealth, and that is why we are giving these tips today on Keri TV.
Fantastic.
Fantastic, thank you for joining me.